Predaplants, predator monsters, predaplants are the plant peons. There are certain decks out there that really take abuse. They live a crap life, probably living under the stank of Baguska's pits, and every now and then a meta deck comes and chops off its last remaining finger in order to win a YCS. Mecha Phantom Beasts, Brave, Ice Barriers, they've all felt the sting. But none of them have done it twice. Except the ones that have. Predaplants are an odd duck amongst them all, by virtue of actually turning it around and even managing to scrape the stars of the meta. But we'll get to that. Predaplants are an entirely Dark Fusion-based deck, primarily using plant types and a handful of state-mandated dragons. Your deck has no dragons, to the gulags with ye. No! They've also got a big focus on utilizing these little things called predator counters in order to pull off various control effects and to manipulate the opponent's field. Their prime user in the anime was King Twink over here. King Twink, what is your demand?
More penis.
These dudes first hit the game in Invasion Vengeance, the set where the world's first sprite card and Ibs persona appeared, along with and the first Predaplant cards for this set certainly didn't inspire confidence, given that they were entirely based around using the low-level idiots as beat sticks against things with levels, forgetting that it was the year of our Lord Dante. However, we did get something of a sign of things to come. Say hello to the lanky, orb-infested genuine motherfucker known as Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Now, copying effects, even if a little limited, and becoming a fat beater was certainly interesting, same with how he just fucking nuked the opponent on death. It even had a semi-unique summoning condition, but this was where a certain card took a turning point. See, Super Poly was banned at this time in the TCG, thanks to Shadow's abusing it to remove anything they didn't like, but this was one of the first truly generic Super Poly targets. Any deck that put out multiple Darks later on had to fear this guy and some later choices. After that came Fusion Enforcers. Oh boy, a time for Predaplants to shine! Hopefully we don't get outshined by...
Give me your normal summon!
It's here that the deck would actually, you know, start using Fusion. They got a Poly on legs with Chlamydo Sundew, a Searcher 1 mode down in Saraceniant, Kaiju, Counterspreader, Bad Counterspreader, 2 Revives, an actual End Archetype Fusion that was okay. A bad Searcher, they got a lot. But they had a massive issue with card advantage. And getting stuff onto the field. And actually fucking achieving anything. And don't you tell me good searching and field presence would be too strong for the time. This shit came out the same set as Fluffles. They also got some support in the OCG only Dimension box, but we never got that because fuck you. Anyways, they'd get support again in the final set of Arc 5, Ashimum Crisis. They introduced Predaplant Last of Us, but also introduced 2 other Predaplants, which is where the deck would see its first victory in the same way that you'd see victory if you died and had your eyes donated to an Olympic swimmer. Ophrys basically spits out a Predap from deck, and Darlingtonia can search any fusion spell. Yeah. Any fusion spell. See, certain fusion cards have become very powerful, namely Shaddoll Fusion and, more importantly, Brilliant Fusion. An insanely nutty engine that allowed you to mill light, get next to normal summon, and put a body on the field all for the cost of a single brick. This was an insanely powerful engine, as just summoning Scorpio could net you 3 bodies on field while technically saving your normal summon. This engine eventually got pieces of it banned, primarily Brilliant Fusion, and the plants even got hit in the OCG. Scorpio was genuinely good in his home deck though, able to tutor out whoever was needed at the time. Darlingtonia was, and still is, a bit of a brick, but his effect is too insane to ignore. Searchable Super Poly. Fuck you. Speaking of, Ultra Polymerization came out in the same set. Keep that in mind. Anyways, the literal next set, they murdered every summoning method and made the interesting choice of making the new protagonist Ace Monster the Yu-Gi-Oh! Equivalent of Hitler. This set got 2 new cards. Sort of. Another Kaiju in the form of Banksy Ogre and a Starving Venom card. That has nothing to do with us. Away with ye. We finally got Predaplast and Dragostapelli and Soul Fusion, the most base set of all time. But the deck still sucked eggs. Just like this guy. Things went dead again for a while, but then Legendary Duelist 5 came out, aka Hero Players and the mysterious case of why they no longer had money. To say this set was baffling would be an understatement. The Fiend stuff and Hero stuff was fine, sure, but the Earthbound Immortal stuff was fucking beyond garbage and introduced Synchro Lock in the dead of the Link era. The Gimmick Puppet stuff was okay, but has a similar issue. And Predaplants! Let's talk about Predaplants. So they were the last thing to get revealed, and they really drip-fed to us. We started off with Tippy Tum, aka our new, bigger Super Poly target. Or everyone else's new, bigger Super Poly target. He was still good for us though, giving us a turn 1 play. Sort of. We also got Helium Pharynchus, a card that colossally overestimated this deck's ability to get up counters turn 2 and was useless turn 1. We got Predaplanting, which could actually get Predator counters on the field and even do some spot removal in some cases. There is also Predapractice, which, due to the OCG's fear of the Predaplant engine, ended up kind of overbalanced despite being good for us. It spit out a Predaplant from hand, grabbed another Predaplant from deck, and then... Fusion Lock, dude. Once again, dead of the fucking Link era, and they pull this shit. God damn, man. In the last Legendary Duelist set, Lunalight's got a fusion spell that could massively help out with her OTK efforts by sending cards from deck or extra deck under the right conditions. So, naturally, I was pretty excited to see if Predaplants would get a new fusion spell, and what it would be. You all already know how this joke ends. Fuck this card. In a deck that can barely afford to put 2 monsters on the field, when Super Poly is fucking legal again, you have the gall, the audacity to make this Super Poly but worse, that can only use the opponent's monsters as materials under very specific conditions, meaning that only 1 fucking monster can be made with the steel effect? Fuck you! Oh, but it gets better. Prepare your balls, because here comes the steel-toed boot known only as Link Vrains Pack 3. Each of these sets had fucked the metagame raw in Japan, even as Kevin Tuert used his remaining power to save us from Halky Fibrax. And this was no exception. Union Carrier, or a Radon, and Predaplant Verte Anaconda. They gave a deck that fucking fusion locks a Link monster, and it's one that needs your monsters on the field, which you desperately need to make any other fusions in Predaplants. So you have to waste resources in Predaplants to make this thing that cockblocks you out of your only way of gaining field presence and card advantage. And it doesn't actually do anything in Predaplants that it can't do in other decks. And speaking of other decks, holy shit, the reign of terror that these two motherfuckers created that's only recently been ended. See, Verte bypasses restrictions on whatever fusion spell it sends, meaning that it can use Red Eyes Fusion without the downside of playing Red Eyes Fusion. Or playing Red Eyes. So this fucker was damn near useless to us, but got abused by everyone else. Fuck off, you screaming little shit.
No, freebie!
Only in May did this fucker get banned. Which was just in time for... Oh, baby, we're in it now! I have never seen an archetype turn around this fucking hard before. Within one set, they implemented the weird strategy of pendulums to the deck, and by some miracle made it fucking work! Not only can this spit out things from your hand in a pinch, but they themselves can be treated as monsters on the field, meaning you can keep summoning shit without having to worry about field presence as much. Plus, they recur, they put tokens on shit, I love them. Come here. Oh, we ain't done yet, because Biblisp actually lets us net advantage and only gets nuttier with stuff like the branded engine, which we can search in a pinch. We got a new fusion extender with Ambulance. His name is Ambulance. And he's perfect. Actually nets you something for the materials you put in and can summon Darlingtonia from deck, or even Saracenian if you really need him. Remember that silly little Ultra Poly I mentioned? Well, it turns out it basically gives us 3 bodies on the field that's searchable off of Darlingtonia, and it combos nice and smooth with Triandus and Ambula Melodies. And now our new god of the end board. Say hello to King Mouthful himself, Starving Venom Predapower Fusion Dragon. Holy shit, I think he's skin Triffy Overtum. He's a soft, once per turn Omni Negate that tributes the opponent's shit to negate and revives if sent to the graveyard by an opponent. This is fucking bonkers. You can net 2 disruptions off 1 card if you play it right, and everything he does can double deplete the opponent. Now this is a fucking boss monster. Only downside is the high summoning requirements, but we combo now. It good. It's a damn good thing this deck of all decks got good support, because a deck with aesthetics as unique and cool as this deserved a second chance, and I'm glad it got it. And when it hit the shelves here, some high-level players got to thinking, could this top? So they rolled up their sleeves, made their branded Predaplant builds, and went to a YCS. They all fucking bubbled. Predapractice still hit like $50 for a while, though, them. It had a rough life, but in the end came out on top of it all. Kind of. But hey, for a deck with a start as bad as this to come that close is an accomplishment that can't be denied. So hats off to you, Predaplants. Enjoy your victory, Gatorade. Oh, you can't water them with that. Oops.
This is Noko. Thank you for watching. Here's a kiss. Mwah. And here's a serotonin injection. And here's some heroin. And here's a gun. And here's a bank. You know what to do.
I didn't know where to fit this joke. Greedy venom capitalism dragon and starving venom communism dragon. Please laugh.